Here on FilmsGoneWild.com, my name is John Wildman. I'm the editor-in-chief of that site, and we are at the Oxford Film Festival in Mississippi. And this segment, we're going to talk about the film Daddy. We've got Neal Kelley and Jono Sherman. They are co-writers, co-directors, co-producers, co-stars. Did you guys combined on the craft services? You both shared like the
I
thing?
was cook, he was prep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a mom and dad thing on set, you know.
I drove the van.
Good
he
cop,
cleaned
bad
up at the
cop.
end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's weird because you guys are on camera often together, so who's holding the camera? It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. The film is Daddy. We always have our filmmakers introduce the audience to the film. They haven't seen it as yet.
Mm-hmm.
So which one of you gets the honors?
I'll do it. I'll take it.
All right.
Our film is Daddy. It's a dystopian dark comedy. Do you want me to sort of give a little brief synopsis, or?
Introduce them to the film. Tell them what you're tell them.
Yeah. Okay. So our film is Daddy. As I said, it's a dystopian dark comedy. It tells the story of four men who live in a society where the government is dictating who can and cannot become fathers. They arrive to a retreat center to be evaluated for their fitness to become fathers. And when no rules and no guides show up, the four men are sort of left to their own devices to figure out who can and can't be fathers. And it goes from there.
You know what? One of the things I really, really appreciated about this film, I really enjoyed, was tonality. I love talking to filmmakers about the challenges of getting the tone right. And with this kind of film, holy crap, that's everything. Because because we're not dealing with hilarity and yucks. We're also not dealing with the Exorcist Part 4. We're not we are in a very specific world of its own. And if you get it wrong, then House of Cards falls over. And I think you guys did it wonderfully. So I would love for both of you to talk about, and especially working as a team, there's so many ways that can go awry. And whether it's a script, whether it's on set, or whether it's in the editing bay. So talk about the challenges on all three of those fronts of keeping it in check and making sure that it doesn't go off the rails.
Yeah, I mean, John and I, when we write, we take quite a while with the script because we want to make sure that we are really viewing it from every possible angle in that 360 way. And that's what's great about having a partner is you're constantly asking questions. You're constantly saying, is this what would happen next? Why is he doing this? Why is she doing that? Why are they all talking about this? Shouldn't they be talking about that? So once you really flesh it out, and we were very fortunate enough to have done Zoom readings with our principal cast months in advance, so we could really not only get their point of view, but also write to their specific voices. So by the time we got into pre-production, by the time we got onto set, the script was locked. What you see in the film is it's probably about 90 to 95% of what was on the page because we knew we were going to have to be acting in this. We knew we were going to have to be directing. We were also producing. So the script had to feel as ironclad. And working with the team we did, our cast and crew, everyone kind of bought in. They all sort of understood what we were going for. And then it's just a matter of executing. It's a matter of making sure you're getting what you need on the day. It's making sure that everyone is collaborating in a fruitful manner. And for us, it's making sure, hey, when I'm in a scene and you're not, you're taking the reins, vice versa. And if we're both in a scene, we worked really, really closely with our first assistant director, Sophia Yusuf, who is great at kind of guiding and nudging us in certain directions when we were maybe so deep in a scene. So it's all about the collaborators at the end of the day. If you get that right, you're going to have a really good experience and a good film.
Yeah.
I love talking with directing tandems because oftentimes that division of responsibility, sometimes it's one dude's a techie, the other woman is the scene work person, and then sometimes one person is the organizational figure, and the other person is it's like the team from Outcast. They're like you're trying to pull them down to earth, right? Mm-hmm. Talk about the directing dynamic and how you guys trade off, how that works, both in developing the process but also on set.
Yeah, I think where Neal and I come from as a directing duo is, it all starts with our very close friendship outside of the professional realm. Neal and I met in 2003 in middle school, and we've been very, very close since then. And even in middle school and high school, we would collaborate. We would make short films. We were in a band together. And I think he and I both have our different strengths from a technical standpoint. Neal has worked with actors a lot as a director because he lived in New York for a while, and I have I've been in LA and I've done more short films, more sort of projects with a camera maybe than Neal up to this point. And I think that stuff, it goes back and forth, but I think with our directorial style, where it really begins is our friendship and creating that community. And on set, because we had so few shoot days and because budget was always a concern, we really wanted to make everybody feel, from top to our PAs, that everyone had a role, everyone could talk to us. We make it very important to be open with everyone and be inclusive. And I think that's where it all starts. And after the first few days, when everybody felt so comfortable, you can go to more intense places as a group and as a team. And I think that just made it easier, from start to finish, where there was a sense of community, there was a sense of we're all relying on each other and we're all in this together.
It's funny, Neal, and you mentioned how the difference, when you're writing and acting as well as directing, how once you get on set, how something that you would have thought would have been a challenge or a detriment actually comes out to your advantage. And I remember one time, I chose to direct myself in something. I said, well, as a test, I'll do a short. So if it sucks and it's the worst experience for everybody, then they've only suffered for one day, and and I've only spent this much money doing it. And I got on set, and I was like Rain Man. I was like, because I'd been over that script so many times doing lines as well as the scene, that I was counting how many straws were on the ground, right? And I would love for you two to talk about that advantage of when you're entwined in every single thing, that you can find yourself on set, and then whereas we normally go, well, if you're in Video Village, you can fill in the frame and find those details, but you go, no, actually, I'm in the middle of the scene, but I can actually go, let's move that over a little bit this way, let's do that. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think in general, John and I have a real fascination in our writing and just in life in general of being inside of an experience, but also, to your point, having to step outside of it and look at it objectively. I think that's what this movie in some ways is about. It's about a group of men who are experiencing something, but also questioning that experience, wondering if they're doing it right, doing it wrong, if one of them is out to get the other. And I think for us, it's always that balance of you have to be so in the work that you're doing, but also always remember, okay, when we call cut, we got to go back behind the camera. We've got to talk to our gaffer about the lighting. We've got to talk to our first AC to make sure, hey, did we get coverage on that in the right way we needed to? We've got to talk to our first AD about, hey, how much time do we have left? And part of that is just, you have to prepare. You have to really set aside that prep time. That's why we did all these readings. That's why we worked on the script for so long, because you have to prepare for that moment where the thing you're never going to be ready for is how little time you have. And even if you know it in the back of your head when you're on set, it's always creeping up on you. And so I think just having as much prep work as you can allows you to be as present, engaged, and operating at the best possible level that you can be.
I would love for you both to also talk about making budget filmmaking not look like it's a budget film, and that's the thing. We, in film festival land, in indie filmmaking land, we've all seen a number of films. We go, okay, I get it. They had one living room. Mm-hmm. They had two dudes. They had this. They went, and in this film, it's like you go, okay, if I've done my homework and I've done the research, I know, well, the budget was this, what have you, and yet, there is high production value. It's like you guys, I'm watching it as, as a savvy film person going, oh, they squeezed every ounce out of this thing. Mm-hmm. But talk about the decision making, and we're talking about behind the camera of going, well, if we use this location, then we've got some woods to work with, or we've got like this cool ass room's got some high ceilings, and we got some those kind of things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, location was such a major like win for us when we found that retreat center, which it's in Topanga Canyon in Los Angeles. It's sort of a yoga meditation retreat center, and we were like 6 weeks out of shooting, if not less, and we still hadn't found a location that we were happy with. And our cinematographer Bryce emailed us this location. He said, well, I've shot there before. Maybe you guys want to go check that out. And the moment Neal and I walked in, we sort of looked at each other and we were like, oh, this is the place. This has what we need, and it has a character. It has a vibe to it. And it's quite serene. It's quite beautiful. And there's sort of a wonderful juxtaposition of the serene surroundings with the not so serene story that we go through. And when it comes to working with the budget that we had and making sure that we squeezed every dollar out, our producer Albie Zhang she's a genius. And the way that she was able to hire people and make it feel like a real production of a fully bona fide film set, I think forced all of us to raise our game too, where we knew that, hey, this is a small budget feature, but it's a professional set, and everybody really rose to that occasion. And and then after we shot, our editor Mitch, he worked with us, and he put everything he had into it. And really, when it comes to making the most out of the budget that you have, it's just finding people who are willing to go above and beyond, even though we're all working under financial constraints. And that, I think, is really sort of what it came down to. Yeah.
The final question I want to ask you guys, because I was doing Q&A yesterday and talking to young actress and about the casting process now and how that works. And I'm saying, like, I'm super old. I remember going into auditions and having that thing like going, that dude is on the phone. He's totally not paying attention to me. Or that woman has not looked up from her notes. Like, and now it's like, well, do I have my lights set up right? Can my roommate read, opposite me and do it? I'm going to talk it from the viewpoint of casting and finding people via those tapes that you're seeing, via those clips that are sent in, because you're not in the room. You can't pick up an energy. You can't pick up how they respond to you as directors. And being able to like say, does it look like they're quick on their feet or not? Talk about that challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a challenge in the industry, and it's in some ways it's a great opportunity because it means that a lot of actors, they don't need to just be in LA or New York now. They can be anywhere. They can be here and be sending in tapes and be seen and considered, and that's great. That kind of levels the playing field, but you do lose that intimacy. And I think, talking about kind of the low budget nature, we didn't have money to really hire a casting director, and luckily we went to the University of Michigan. Jono was in the film program. I was in the theater program. All three other actors were in the theater program at Michigan. Pom, who plays Mo, Yuri, who plays Sebastian, and Jacqueline, who plays Allie. We knew them as people. We knew them as actors. We knew that we could all collaborate together months in advance. In the case of Jacqueline, she actually came in last minute because we had to, unfortunately, our original actress had to drop out for scheduling reasons. But we had 48 hours, and I called Jacqueline. I was like, can you be here? And she's like, yeah. And she showed up on set, and she was like, hey, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, but I'll do my best. And you know what? That fit for the character who kind of like comes in and doesn't know what she's doing necessarily. But we just felt like this has to feel like we're all in it together. It's got to feel like we're on an even playing field. If we cast actors we don't know, if we are auditioning and they feel like they're afraid of us, or they feel like, there's a hierarchy in that way, this movie is not going to work. So being able to like have the benefit of coming from a community of actors and really knowing that they can bring their A game and work with you and go through the times when it's tough on set and crack a joke or just like, pump you up or whatever. Like, that's what it's all about. And I think we just feel so fortunate to have that community and hope to continue building it out and continue working with these actors again in the future.
Yeah, and the one thing I'd add there is that the one actor we did cast off of, I believe it was LA Casting, was Joe Lopez, who is the driver. And he's got a small role, but it's an important role. And I remember we spoke with a few actors. We had them read a short monologue from No Country for Old Men, and then we zoomed with a couple of them to sort of get a sense of their vibe. And when we met with Joe, within like 5 minutes, he was just talking about like, his character's on screen for a minute or maybe less, and he was so into not only the script, but the character. And he was talking about, well, this driver's motivation. Who is this driver? This driver is sort of all of their fathers. He's sort of like God. And we were just like, yeah, man, like, yes. And so, yeah, when it comes to casting off LA Casting, we were blessed to find Joe. And yeah, I mean, in the future, we'll probably have to do more of that. But this time we were lucky to cast friends. Yeah.
Got it. Well, the final question, and I love talking to other directors about the idea of doing group scenes, and in scenes you have like 3 or 4 or 5 actors, because we all get to that place on our own schedule. Some of us first time out, best take. Some of us it takes like 5 or 6 to warm up. Some of us don't even know the lines when they show up on set, and they work into it, and. But here, you guys are 2 of those actors, in that. So it's not like you're offset like going, okay, the third take, everybody is at a decent place, for those master shots. So that's one I can use. You're also doing your own energy with how you get to that place. So talk about that, working within the swimming pool with the other actors, so to speak, because you're like going, okay, I think we all hit the median level, like right there.
Yeah, I think, even though we were in many of those scenes together, you totally get a sense for what's working and what's not. There's a benefit to being in the scene as an actor, because we're closer to the other actors than even the camera is. We can really see the performance, even though we're embedded in our own performance. The old adage, like, acting is reacting, and it's like, if I can, as an actor, if I can tell that Yuri is like really nailing it, I'm gonna feel like I'm nailing it, and just sort of being deeply embedded in that, I think actually helped it, because it's also such a group-oriented film. And then also, Neal mentioned our AD Sophia, like, we just leaned on her, and especially in those scenes where it was super involved in all of us, we were very vocal about, hey, Sophia, like, you've got the reins, like, we trust you, lead us and help us lead the rest of the team. Yeah.
And I would only add to that, I think the best actors try to serve the material that they have. And I think as long as you're really working from that angle of trying to tell the story, and everyone trying to tell the story in the way that they are supposed to, when you have that kind of mission and everyone is on board with that, it allows for a lot of different possibilities. You don't spend so much time talking about motivation or arc or whatever. You all know what the story is. You all know where to go. And then once we've got it, let's keep exploring if we have time. And if not, we'll move on. And I think there were scenes where it's like, we each get 2 takes of this. And, there wasn't any doubt that, everyone could kind of deliver when the pressure was on like that, because we all knew the story and what we were trying to tell. So we're very lucky to just have the best cast, imaginable. Yeah.
Well, it's an awesome rabbit hole to go down. Again, the film is Daddy. We've been talking to Neal Kelley and Jono Sherman, co-writers, co-directors, co-stars, co-producers, co-every damn thing on this film. Thanks for telling us about the film.
Thank you so much, John. This has been a blast.